All right, on to the next one. All right, what do we have here? India is poised for rapid economic growth, potentially spurred by a young population driving production and demand. In the process, inevitably, lifestyles are being dramatically altered for the worse. India now reports, okay, so we have rapid economic, we have rapid economic growth going on, spurred by a young population, driving production and demand both. In the process, inevitably, lifestyles are being dramatically altered for the worse. So, lifestyles are becoming worse. Okay. India now reports the highest growth of ultra processed food consumption among the youth, as well as low levels of exercise and adequate sleep. Cultural changes, including smartphones and a preponderance of English in schools, preference of English in schools, are also associated with weakened family relationships. Okay. So, what is it? What's going on? India reports the highest growth of, so a lot of ultra processed food is being consumed, highest in the world, as well as low levels of exercise. We don't get a lot of exercise and are not sleeping well as well. Cultural changes, lots of cultural changes happening, right? Including smartphones is one, and a preference of English in schools. So, apparently, because of that, we have then weakened family relationships, is what the paragraph is saying. Until recently, in the absence of extensive data, the role of these factors on mental well-being, encompassing our full range of mental capability, was not well understood. Okay, so before we didn't really have much data to understand the impact of all of these things on our mental health, but now we do. Recent findings based on a large database of over 150,000 individuals in India are beginning to shed light on the correlates of mental well-being among adolescents, right? So there is a study now, and we are able to identify all of the reasons why our mental health is in the dumps. The findings are dire. There is a silent epidemic of mental ill health in India. Previous studies have found that ownership of smartphones is frying the brain, right? One of the reasons. Data also suggests that it is not merely the ownership of a phone, but also the early age of access that is associated with worse cognition and mental well-being as young adults. It is not really just the phone, but the age at which you start accessing the phone. All right. The young brain is developing and must be nurtured. These gadgets are handed to adolescents, presumably more out of convenience than sound logic. Right, so the young brain, which is very, the name, it is something that is to be nurtured, but we are providing the kids with all these gadgets and they're really frying their brain, right? And we do it almost out of convenience. Okay, hand over the phone to the kid shuts up, so all good. The American philosopher David Henry Thoreau remarked over 175 years ago, technology is an improved means to an unimproved end. This is an extreme position, but one worth mulling over, thinking. Okay, this is what mulling means, thinking. Okay. So what does this quote really mean? Technology is an improved means to an unimproved end. So basically this quote says, through technology, we will end up being unimproved. We will give ourselves so much, convenience that we ourselves will become unimproved versions of ourselves, right? That's what it means. India reports the highest growth in consumption of ultra-processed foods. We saw that earlier. Some evidence suggests that these foods are as addictive as smoking. Recent data globally and from India shows a strong association between the consumption of ultra-processed foods and poor mental well-being, particularly the capacities for emotional and cognitive control. So, ultra-processed food is also contributing to the dire state of mental health of this country. Okay, let's look at the questions. Based on the above passage, which of the following should be the most suitable title for the passage? Okay, lifestyle and mental health. So a lot of conversation on mental health, right? That did happen. And a lot of different angles of lifestyle were something that we saw, right? Everything from consumption of food to the kind of language that we use, or the smartphones was obviously heavily featured. So both these aspects are there. Let's see if we can find something else. Economic growth and mental health. Not, I mean, economic growth is mentioned, but it's not very passively mentioned. Like, that is caused a situation, and that situation is what really what we are more concerned with, not really the economic growth as such. Okay, so B is not a better option than A. Impact of technology on the youth, that is one aspect of it, not the whole aspect. So definitely not better than A. Language and cultural change, again a singular aspect, not the whole, and is also a very small aspect mentioned. So A is the best option that I have. Consider the given statement. Technology is an improved means to an unimproved end. Which of the following closely reflects the meaning of the given statement? What is the meaning of the statement? Basically, I mentioned it earlier, technology, improvements in technology basically makes humans less improved, right? So we have so much convenience that we really are not physically, say for example, if you create a machine for cutting wood, right? Then you no longer, that after a while you just forget how to chop wood with your hand, right? You're so dependent on the machine that you no longer remember how to do it. So which is an unimproved version, right? You're an unimproved version of yourself. You would have maybe back in the day able to do it with your hand, but now you're so dependent on the machine, on the technology, that you have forgotten how to do it, right? Okay, so that was one example. We can look for the meaning in the options. New technologies have to be accepted by primarily focusing on its positive results. No, that's not what it says. We are not really talking about the positive aspects of technology. In fact, we're talking about the negative aspects. New technologies create a hindrance to the physical health of an individual. One aspect of it, yes, this is sort of mentioned. It's like a one aspect of it, but it is not limited to physical health only. Therefore, B is not my option. Poor mental health is a result of the invention of new technologies. Again, for the same reason earlier, it is not just the mental health that we are concerned with, right? So, again, partially correct, not fully correct. Okay. New technology should be looked upon with skepticism considering its negative impact. Yeah. So, technologies have a negative impact, and therefore we need to be skeptical when we look at them, because they are creating an unimproved version of ourselves. D is the right option. Which of the following statements strengthens the author's argument regarding the negative use of smartphones among the youth? So we need to find a statement from these four which will help say that smartphones are really having a really negative impact on the youth. Okay. Excessive use of smartphones may lead to weakened family relationships. Okay. Yeah. This is a negative aspect, right? So this is good. There has to be an unhindered use of smartphones. No. This is saying use smartphones relentlessly. No stopping. B is out. Smartphones have economic usefulness. Again, positive. So C is out. Ownership of smartphones at an early age results due to lack of care by parents. This is like giving a reason why smartphones are adopted. What we need to look for is a reason why adoption of smartphones is harmful. So D is not the option. A is the right option. Which of the following can be a plausible solution for better mental well-being among the youth? What can be used as a solution? Let's take a look. Limiting the correlation between physical and mental health. I mean, we can't limit the correlation, right? That is just a study. That is a result that we are finding out. So limiting the correlation is not a solution. Okay. Limiting the research on excessive use, again, not a solution. We don't want to just ignore the research, but we tend to do that kind of a thing in real life, right? We stop looking for research only. Okay. Limiting the widespread consumption of ultra processed foods. Okay. This can be one. Limiting the informed use of smartphones across all age groups. Informed use of smartphones is a good thing, right? You need to be informed about the thing that you're doing. So if you limit the informed usage, it is a problem, right? You need to limit the uninformed usage basically. So limiting the widespread consumption of ultra processed foods is also a good start, because this was suggested to be a major issue, right? That we are consuming a lot of ultra processed food and that is damaging our mental health. So C is a good pick. Which of the following statements by the author lack credible evidence in the passage? So a lot of statements have been made. Which of these statements does not have enough evidence? Okay, let's take a look. Excessive mobile usage linked to mental health issues. A lot of the passage was actually about this. So nothing wrong with this. Providing mobiles to adolescents resulting in mental stress. This was also deliberated upon enough. Students learning the English language have weakened family relationships. This was very briefly mentioned. Not a lot of deliberation was done. It was mentioned in passing and nothing else was said. Said that there's a lot of focus on English language in the schools, and that is also, it was clubbed with some of the other reasons, right? Let's take a look here, right? Cultural changes, part of the cultural changes. So that includes smartphones and a preference of English in schools. And these are associated with weak family relationship. While the smartphone angle was discussed, but this part was not really discussed much. So we don't have enough evidence here. So C is a good pick. Okay, inadequate sleep and junk food resulting in mental. These were also mentioned. Sleep was mentioned as an issue. Junk food was highly discussed quite in detail. So D is also not my option. C is the right option. Right. These gadgets are handed to adolescents, presumably more out of convenience than sound logic. Which of the following is the most suitable explanation echoed by the author as per the given statement? So basically, what does the author mean by this statement is the question, right? Logic prevails over reasoning? No. In fact, logic is taking a backseat, right? Logic and emotions go hand in hand? No. What is happening here? It's saying people do it out of convenience than sound logic, right? They're not using logic, they're just doing it so that their kid will shut up, right? So they're handing it out to the kids so that they don't have to deal with it. Logic taking a backseat over utility, right? Exactly. Taking a backseat. This looks good. Logic and benefits can never be understood together. No. C is the right option. We're saying logic has gone back, utility has taken over. Okay, it solves the problem in that moment. So I will let the kid have the phone because it solves the problem in the moment, and logic is gone out the window.